Welcome, true believers, newcomers alike. I am the Fan of Steel, and this is our podcast, The Gauntlet, that we do on my channel, The Fan of Steel. And I don't know, we just decided that we would do this because we felt like doing it, not because we actually have anything to talk about, important or relevant.
It's important.
Yeah, and of course I would be amiss if I did not introduce my guests. I've got with me Z the Pirate Girl.
What's up?
And Steel Glitch.
Hey everybody.
And yeah, so we've all been seeing this going around, all this news about Marvel and Sony and the deal going awry with Spider-Man. So we decided, you know what? Glitch texted me that day and he was like, are we doing a podcast on this? And I was like, oh yeah, we're doing a podcast. We've got to cover this. And just to talk about it and give our opinions, but also there's a lot of misinformation going around out there.
Yeah.
The hashtag boycott Sony is running crazy, and we need to give some accurate information on this. And I kind of want to do this in an interesting way. We'll talk about all the information, the facts and everything like that, give our opinions, but I also want to get your guys' opinions on, do you blame Marvel? Do you blame Sony? Do you not blame either one? Like, it's like, well, nobody's really at fault. It's just, this has just happened. Or are they both kind of to blame? Do they both share the blame? And you guys leave down in the comment section below. Let us know what you think on that. But we're going to jump into it. So this week, news broke that the deal between Marvel and Sony, that they were talking about, re-upping the deal that they've had with Spider-Man to keep him in the MCU. And Marvel came to them, and Marvel wanted a 50-50 split. Now, so you guys understand, the previous deal was Sony still retained
Disney.
Disney.
Yeah,
Disney.
Plus,
Disney owns Marvel.
I know.
but it's still Disney.
Yeah, but it is.
Disney.
You're right. I should call it as Disney. Disney.
They wanted a 50-50 split plus some of the production rights.
Right. Well, and we're going to get into that. So the previous deal was that Sony retained full production right of Spider-Man, and I didn't realize just how many characters they have production rights to Spider-Man. And 900 associated characters.
Wow.
It's that many. It's a lot. So they have the rights to all of that, which are ones that, affect Spider. I guess I just didn't realize that Spider-Man had that many characters. Like, I know a lot of them, but I just did not realize it was that many. I'm like, oh my goodness. But Sony retained that right. Marvel was going to get the 5% first dollar. So basically whatever they get cut a check for whatever any of the Spider-Man movies produced by Sony gross. They get 5% of that just off the top.
Oh, that makes sense.
It does. Here's the other parts of it though. Marvel/Disney also got to use Spider-Man for free. They did not have to pay Sony for any of the times when they used him in Infinity War or in Endgame or in Civil War. They got him for free, plus Disney also got all of the merchandising.
But Sony got 90% of the earnings from the movies.
But only the movies that they produced. So only Homecoming and only Far From Home, which is still good. But they didn't get they didn't see any of the merchandising kickback for that. So, like, you guys saw the unboxing that I did with the Far From Home stuff, where the pop figures and all that, everything like that. If you go down and you buy a Mysterio Far From Home pop figure, guess who's getting that money? Disney. Disney gets all of it. Sony doesn't see any of it. Now, the movies did really well. Far From Home made over $1 billion. That's really, really good. That's great. And Sony gets 90% of that. That's awesome. Marvel/Disney. Disney came back and they were like, we want a little bit more. Now that's fair. That's fair to get a little bit more than 5%. Here's where the problem came in. With this new deal, they wanted 50%. They wanted to split it 50%. And they also wanted to split the production cost. They wanted to pay, so every time that Sony made a Spider-Man movie or a Spider-Man affiliated movie, so that would have been Morbius, Venom 2, any Craven, any of these movies that Sony was talking about making, Marvel wanted to produce it 50-50. And to a lot of people that sounds really good. Oh, look, Disney's being nice. They're trying to pay for aren't they being so nice? They're trying to pay for half of it. No. Here's where the problem comes in. If you and I decide that, okay, we're going to get a pizza. And you say, I'm hungry. I want to get a pizza. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of hungry too. Why don't I, I'll chip in a little bit of money and we'll get us a pizza. Now, I know that you hate pineapple on your pizza. We'll just go with I hate it too. But if I'm like, you know what? I want to put pineapple on the pizza. And you're like, no, I don't want pineapple. I don't like pineapple on the pizza. Well, I'm paying for half of it, so I get a say. That's where this would become a problem. The reason why Disney wanted to do that is because by them putting 50% into that, by them that gives them production rights to this. So all of the decisions and all of the IP, all of the intellectual properties that would be used, they would have a say of how that's being used and what goes on with that. Even Spider-Man would come into question. Here's why that's a shrewd deal for Disney. The way the Sony deal works right now, Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man and all those 900 characters. We established that. The only way that they keep that is if they make at least one Spider-Man movie every 5 years. If you know you can make $1 billion once every 5 years, you're going to do it. Like, they're going to continue doing that. But the reason why that's a really shrewd deal for Marvel to do is because not only do they have a say in every Spider-Man movie that Sony produces, if Sony comes and says, I want to do a Prowler standalone movie, if Disney is not for that, because they have made that deal, they could come in and say, nope, you can't do it. We own 50%. We don't want that movie being made. We want to use Prowler for this, so you can't do that. That takes away Sony's ability to use their own properties.
Yep.
It'd be basically like, giving somebody the keys to your car. It's ludicrous.
Disney's just being greedy.
Well, Disney, you know what? Disney is flexing their dollars. And this is really the problem with Disney now owning Fox and all this stuff. Disney now own Marvel. They own Star Wars. They own the majority of Hulu. They're probably going to end up buying out the rest of it and owning Hulu completely. They own ESPN. Now they own Fox, which they're, after the losses that they took with Fox, they're probably going to just end up dismantling it and just, basically using it for scraps, just parting out what they want and then discarding the rest. That's why whenever that deal was going down, I'll be honest, I was wanting Comcast to win that. I wanted Comcast to win that bid because I wanted to see more variety with our movies and stuff. And I was afraid that Disney was going to end up doing that, and that's what they're doing now. If Comcast had bought out Fox, Fox would have stayed. I think Fox would have stayed more like continued business as usual, and we would have continued to get more of we may have even got more of the X-Men movies in that same continuity, which Dark Phoenix sucked, but maybe it wouldn't have been as bad if Marvel hadn't have kind of come in there a little bit. And it's
that was just such a bad movie.
Yeah. Well, this is the last one, so we just kind of have to do what we got to do. And they just basically just shelled it out. But that's a big problem. And it also becomes a problem because if they can't, Marvel at that point could then also be like, or Disney could say, they could end up just vetoing every movie that Sony wanted to do. until that 5 years is up. And Sony has not been able to produce a Spider-Man movie because they can't agree on the IP and everything. And since now it's being owned basically 50-50, Disney has to okay it, has to approve it. Just like with Universal, Universal cannot make a Hulk movie because Disney owns the distribution rights. Universal owns the production rights to Hulk, and Disney owns the distribution rights. That's why we haven't seen any Hulk movies.
Which I'm like, okay, great. We get an origin movie for all of the Avengers, except for we got one. It was a different actor, but we got it. We did. That's what I mean. We did not get a Mark Ruffalo Hulk movie.
I don't need a Mark Ruffalo.
I'm like, we got Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man, we got Thor, we got Captain America, we got all this stuff, and we didn't get Thor.
But Disney.
That would have been because let's face it, the last couple Hulk movies were not.
I liked the Incredible Hulk.
Is that the comic booky one?
The one? No. That's the one with the Abomination.
Ugh,
that one was
so
good.
bad.
I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie. Not okay.
Random comic book strips. Okay.
No, that was just Hulk. That was Ang Lee's Hulk, and that was a travesty. It's still kind of fun to watch.
No,
a little
it's
bit.
A headache.
It is a little fun to watch. I get some nostalgia kickback from that. But anyway, Spider-Man. Disney is doing what Disney does best, making shrewd deals. Because at that point, they own all the leverage. And before the deal was made, Sony was hurting financially. Sony needed Marvel, and Marvel wanted Spider-Man.
Sony was probably hurting because they didn't bother to finish the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man trilogy, but that's a different story.
No. They were hurting because the second one did not make as much money as they wanted it to. And then they had all those leaks, those internet leaks and email leaks that caused their stock to go way down. So they were hurting. And like I say, Disney and Marvel, they wanted Spider-Man, and that was largely due to Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers. The Russo brothers really, really wanted Spider-Man in Civil War, and they were pushing for that. And Kevin Feige wanted it too, so they pushed, and they made that deal happen. They worked on it to make that deal happen. So, I mean, that's really where that came into. Now, the one thing. The misconstrued information that gets put around a lot. All these Sony movies that have been, all these Spider-Man movies that have been made, Homecoming, Far From Home, people attribute that to Disney. Disney had really nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. The only thing that they had to do with it was the fact that Sony was allowed to consult with Kevin Feige. You know, at certain points, I don't know how often.
Probably not much.
But they were able to use him as a producer and a consultant. And then they were able to talk to them and say, hey, can we use this character? Can we use Happy Hogan?
Well, and I think
Can we use Iron Man? Okay, great.
I think that was one of Disney's problems. They were like, he's being spread too thin. And I'm just like...
Well, that is one of the things that was said.
But we live in a consumer... The original deal just makes sense because Disney gets all of the merchandising.
It's a good deal.
We live in a consumerist society, and especially with nerds that are going to collect a bunch of crap. They are going to make a ton of money off the merchandise.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, who cares if it's a 90-10 split? You're making all this money off of the merchandising, and you're not having to pay to use Tom Holland. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're getting to use Spider-Man for free.
Disney needs to quit trying to become the leading entertainment giant. And, you know, they're doing that because they've got their own little version of Netflix they're going to come out with. They've got all this stuff.
Disney Plus, yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
But I'm like, do I really want to have to pay for another subscription service? No.
$10 a month? $10 a month? I'll do that.
I don't care. When you add up that...
And then $12.99.
When you add up that, plus you pay for Netflix, plus you've got all this other stuff, if anybody has Amazon Prime or anybody has Hulu or whatever.
Well, here's the thing. Disney has also talked about bundling Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN for like $14 a month.
Well,
that's a ridiculously good deal. I mean, again, Disney's doing what Disney does well. They're being shrewd business people. And that's... Now, I don't think it's necessarily
they're screwing
wrong.
this up because the fans are pissed.
Yeah. And the whole Kevin Feige thing, I mean, again...
And they're letting Sony take the fall for it.
Well, of course they will. Of course they'll let Sony take the fall for it.
Because they want the boycott Sony thing, that's going to put pressure on Sony.
Yeah, well...
And it's going to try... I feel like it's going to end up forcing them into making a deal.
Well, because we live now, in a society, as far as the nerd world goes, that Disney can do no wrong. Because we love the Marvel Universe. And it's good. Yes, it's really good.
I have never once attributed that to Disney. I've just been like, oh, cool, Marvel's doing something right.
But, I mean, like, I honestly think that that's part of the reason why the DC Universe movies have not done quite as well.
They're crazy dark. To quote Deadpool, oh, you must be from the DC Universe.
I like that, though, because it's different. I don't want everything being exactly the same.
Dark is fine, but crappy is another story altogether.
They haven't. I will contend that none of the DC movies.
Justice League was crap.
No, it wasn't. It was good. It had its problems, but it was still a good, fun movie. And again,
dark and fun don't go together.
Yes, it does.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it does.
I can't get off on that. That was a bad movie.
Do you like Deadpool?
Deadpool
is dark.
Deadpool is dark.
Deadpool got ripped in half. That's freaking dark.
But it had it had a different tone. It still was a lighter tone overall.
Tone doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Freaking Justice League was just a bad movie. Who cares if it was dark? It was just bad.
80% of the problems with Justice League were because of Warner Brothers tampering with stuff.
Ugh. Another
scared.
entertainment giant going in and messing with stuff, and I'm like, this is supposed to be entertainment. It's for the fans. But
and you know what? That's the mindset that I think causes a lot of problems, because we look at Disney and we look at Marvel and we look at them like, Marvel's our friends. They're trying to make movies for us that we can enjoy and love, and they want what's best for the characters. Bull crap. They're trying to make money. That's what they care. And this shows that.
Yeah, Has anybody been to Disney World? $12 for like a Coke? I mean, come on.
You know what? Disney will not lose any sleep if this deal completely falls through and Spider-Man is in the MCU no more. They will not care about what the fans think.
Of course not.
All they care about is, we didn't get the money we wanted, so we walked away. That's all they care about. It's all about money. And I think I'm one of those that is guilty too of losing sight of the fact that, it is about it for them. At the end of the day, it's about dollars.
I mean, I immediately blamed Sony too with the first post I saw, because I was just like, of course, Sony yet again.
Well, yeah, like for the first 5 seconds, I was like, why did Sony pull out of this? And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. Which, there are also reports going around that Sony counter-offered that 50-50 deal, saying, we won't do 50-50, but we will go as high as 70-30. And Disney still was like, no. Like, what else do you want?
They want a hand and they want to say.
Pretty much. And Sony has been, here's my thinking. My conspiracy theory. They came to them and they were like, you know what, Sony, you've wanted to have Venom in the MCU, which they have very clearly been saying. They've said several times they have a desire to have Venom in the MCU and have Tom Holland cross over and be in that Venom verse and everything. They want it for both reasons, mainly so that they can use Spider-Man in their Venom movies. I feel like Marvel probably started off the conversation kind of like, yeah, we're okay with that. But we've got a big universe. We've got to keep things under control. We can't just have every little thing happening. So we're willing to front 50% of the production cost of these movies. But we've got to have a little bit of a say of what goes on with these characters. Because we can't just have you guys doing just whatever. And, it's just like, no.
Because, you want to talk about dark. Venom was kind of dark. And it's like, God
to
forbid.
a degree, I mean, yeah, he's biting off people's heads and
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about, you know...
I mean, just like the look of the movie. Like the look, if you played Venom and like an Avengers movie side by side, just the filtering and the lighting and the overall look, Venom is a lot darker.
Yeah, it's a more muted color palette.
Well, and that gives a different vibe than the candy-coated Disney Marvel movies.
It does.
And so that's probably a reason. You know, Disney is still all about the image. You know, boy next door, girl next door kind of thing. And so they probably don't want Spider-Man going off and being...
Yeah, because I mean...
in that dark universe.
I mean... Because there are going to be darker elements to a superhero movie. There's going to be you know, junk that goes down that's going to be like, oh man, that was pretty harsh. I mean, look at Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is basically a superhero
somebody
comedy.
was on cocaine when they made that movie.
I mean, it's basically a superhero comedy, but there's a lot of dark stuff that happens.
But it doesn't look dark because it doesn't give the visual of looking dark. You kind of, you know, it's like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad.
Right, and you've got them like basically making fun of the characters, but whatever.
All right, we just should get on to opinions, I guess.
But now here's another interesting thing. We have D23 this weekend. They have not mentioned a thing about Spider-Man except for Marvel and Disney announced we've got a brand new preschooler series for Spider-Man called Spidey and His Amazing Friends coming out.
Yep.
You look like you have opinions about that.
Go on, Glitch. You haven't said hardly anything.
Oh no, I don't have an opinion about that. I just hate Disney Junior. All the shows are stupid.
Well, I mean, it's Disney.
For children.
It's Disney Junior as for kids, but
They're still really watered down.
They really are.
Yeah, I mean, they are. And it's very interesting because, you know, it would have been a wonderful opportunity at D23 for them to come through and say, you know what, we've continued having negotiations, we've continued talking, and we've come to an agreement, we've come to a deal, and Spider-Man will continue to be in the MCU. They could have done that. Nope. No announcements yet. We get Spidey and His Amazing Friends. We got announcements for more Disney Plus series. We're getting She-Hulk. We're getting Moon Knight.
Oh boy.
I think there's Miss Marvel. You know, we're gonna get some pretty cool stuff. Not a word of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man posters and stuff are apparently all over D23. Because, I mean, that's stuff that gets prepared months in advance.
They're going to make us wait. They're not going to say anything now.
I mean, the biggest problem here is that, and I think you guys share this opinion, Marvel and Sony have both built their universes with each other in mind. Marvel has built their MCU going forward with expecting Spider-Man to still be there.
Yeah, very clearly.
And Sony has built its universe expecting Marvel to still be there. You know, we've got the drama and the soap opera love of Happy Hogan and Aunt May going on.
Well, that's apparently done because that was casual.
Well, we don't know 100% for sure. I think Peter's about to have a stepdaddy. Stepdaddy happy.
But yeah,
step uncle.
Step uncle, yes. Step uncle.
In Far From Home, they threw everything in the MCU on top of Spider-Man, basically showing that he's supposed to take the lead now.
Yeah.
In the MCU.
Well,
and then for them just to sit there and try to pull him like that, you can't.
And spoilers if you haven't seen Far From Home yet, but I mean, the post-credit scenes.
Not even that.
Scrolls.
Not even
scrolls.
Not even that. But well, yeah, that too. But like, okay, Far From Home, right? The Avengers weren't really in it. It was, you know,
no.
It
Nick
was just,
Fury was.
Yeah, but
Nick
the
Fury
Avengers themselves weren't really in it. Like, you didn't see Falcon / new Captain, whatever, right? But you can still see, he still talks about Tony. He still has this huge influence from the Avengers.
Right.
So what is going to happen? Are they just going to turn around, make a Spider-Man movie, and then poof, Iron Man is gone from Spider-Man's memory? We don't get any mention of him ever.
I don't know.
You can't do that. You literally can't do that because Tony was like a father figure for him. Hey.
Now, here is the interesting thing. Because, again, Sony produced and fronted all the money for Homecoming and Far From Home. They own it. They own all of that IP. So they can... Tom Holland is not contracted to Disney. He is contracted to Sony. all of the actors, everything are, except for like Happy Hogan and all of that. They are with Disney, and they got shared and bumped over into that little sandbox. But if they want to, if Sony wants to, they can continue with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. But you raise a good point. I mean, how is that? I mean, Tony Stark...
Disney's not going to give up.
Tony Stark has been a very, very big influence in Spider-Man's life. Because he's the one that brought him... I mean, he literally, like, brought him in. Gave him a new suit, all of that. And, you know, brought him into the Avengers.
He was the daddy figure, you know?
He was.
Spider-Man runs off and does something he's not supposed to do. Who shows up to give him a good spanking? Iron Man. I mean, that's just how it is. And so to take that away, I mean, that's just not, you know, they're just making stupid decisions. You can't just do that. This has been a 10-year story arc in the making, and they're going to sit there and screw it all up because, you know...
Well, and, you know, Homecoming kind of feels a little bit to me like Shazam. Because I was kind of wondering, because there wasn't really a whole lot of mention about is Shazam in the DC universe. But when you watch Shazam, it's like, oh no, he very clearly is. Because you've got all these newspaper clippings.
That's been the best DC movie, honestly.
Of Superman. You've got, you know, the one orphan's got a Batarang. They're all wearing, like, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman shirts. It's very obvious. Same thing with Homecoming. You know, the videos that the kids are watching in school, it's of Captain America.
Yeah, and you see the Iron Man mural.
Yeah, you see Iron Man, you know, thank you, Iron Man, and all these pictures and paintings, and, oh, the Avengers, and they saved the world, and, you know, the Snap, and talking about all that. It's been a very, very big part.
But it still was still in the background.
It was still in the background,
which is cool.
So, yeah.
It's just like, oh, well, this is our life now. Like, oh, yeah, I'm 21 because the Snap happened. You know, but, you know, this and that. And so it's kind of, it's...
Which I felt like they handled that pretty well.
Yeah, it's just a way of... It's like they just treat it like it's a way of life, and it's just, okay, this is how it is.
Yeah. But... Okay, so... Worst case scenario. This deal doesn't happen. How do you guys see it moving forward?
Sony will use Tom Holland to be in their universe because he still has a contract for, I don't know what, 2 movies still?
2 movies, yeah.
And they'll use him, and I don't know how he feels about it. He said he'd like to play Spider-Man forever, but he's also said he didn't ever want to give up his ticket to the MCU.
Right.
But
well, and they posted that... I don't know.
But he was thinking probably they were going...
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Hand in hand.
Well, and I mean, you know, he and Robert Downey Jr. both posted that picture on social media within the last couple days of Robert Downey Jr. holding a Spider-Man action figure, and then Tom Holland holding an Iron Man action figure, which who knows what that means. Henry Cavill did that too whenever that they were all talking about.
Oh man, that's the other thing.
Henry Cavill did as Superman. What?
Yeah, because he was kind of cameoed.
They confirmed that was not Henry Cavill in Shazam.
Well, I mean, yeah, because
it was
obviously, it was Henry Cavill's Superman, but obviously it wasn't actually Henry Cavill. We would have seen his face.
Double.
We would have seen his face.
Right, because they had talked about that. They had said, "Oh, we wanted." We wanted to try to get that to happen, where we could actually show his face, but it just wasn't going to work. So, you know, whatever.
It was enough. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna. They'll keep making Spider-Man movies. An absolute worst case scenario, they aren't allowed to mention Iron Man or anything like that. Reference any of the MCU things, which I don't see how that would work, because Nick Fury is a big part of Spider-Man's life. Iron Man is a big part of Spider-Man's life. Happy Hogan is kind of a part of Spider-Man's life. So they can't just, well, they can, but it would be really ridiculous just to turn and make a movie and then just, oh, poof, we forgot all about all of that stuff that happened.
Right, but one good, I don't know, quote unquote, good part that might come out of that is we get to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man with whatever Spider-Man villain you want, which would be kind of cool because they can do that with him, and hopefully they would just keep Tom Holland on, and not stop it after 3 movies.
Or after like 2.
Yeah.
I'm still bitter about the Andrew Garfield thing. I'm like, why could you not come enough to an agreement to at least wrap up the trilogy? Come on.
Well, because that was part of the MCU Sony deal.
Right.
Yeah.
But
everything Marvel was like, and Disney was like, look, if we're gonna do this, it's got to be clean slate. Clean slate.
So in the worst case scenario, they would just keep on making movies with Tom, most likely, and a good part of it would be you might get to see Spider-Man with a villain you wouldn't be able to see in the MCU.
Oh well, look, I mean, if this doesn't go through, I mean, Spider-Man will be in Venom 2. I promise you. 100%, he will be in Venom 2.
And it would be cool.
I don't know though. He's so much.
It would be a great movie.
I feel like that would be Tom Holland, or I mean, this Spider-Man is so much younger. And Venom, he's a grown man. I don't know. I just feel like that'd be a weird dynamic.
No, it worked. It worked just fine. I mean, you realize that's how it is in the comics, right?
But that's also back when teenagers didn't look like children like they do now. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, he looked like a grown man.
Because he was like 30.
And he was in college, 30. I think, or by the time he came across Venom.
Yeah, I mean, but that was just stupid and ridiculous. It should have never been done. But you realize that's one of the dynamics about Spider-Man is all of his villains are grown men, and he's this teenage kid that's like
it's like the Scooby-Doo villains. If it weren't for those meddling kids.
It is kind of, because anytime any of them figure out who he is, like when Doc Ock or the Green Goblin found out, they're like, what? It's this punk kid that's been foiling my plans this entire time? No way!
Right.
And that pisses them off even more. They're like, oh, I'll be darned if I'm going to be bested by a kid.
Yeah. But I really don't think they'll get through this without finding another deal, because I really think it's in the best interest for both companies.
Most likely. If people can start to understand that this is not Sony's fault.
Right.
It's real easy to blame Sony because of all the issues that they've had.
And I think that is what Disney wanted.
Including the video game platform. Thank you, Sony, for not letting me mod whatever I want to on Fallout 4.
Oh, whatever. PlayStation is awesome.
It's mostly awesome, except for the fact that they do not let you have the Nick Valentine romance mod.
Oh, no one wants that.
On Fallout 4. Look, they don't let you. Xbox lets you mod whatever you want, and PlayStation doesn't, strictly because of Sony. So thusly, people,
not Fallout, Spider-Man.
Thusly, people will indeed blame Sony because they've got a history of making terrible decisions.
No, they have a history of making really great decisions too.
When they finally get in the pits of despair from all the bad decisions they've made.
No. Who are the ones that started this whole thing? Sony. Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2. Now, they flubbed up on Spider-Man 3, yes. But The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, really good movie. The second one...
Really? They weren't... None of those were bad.
The second one, not as great. The Spider-Man 3 is bad.
It's not that bad.
Spider-Man 3 is bad. It's bad.
Justice League is worse.
No! How dare you say
Justice League is worse.
No! Justice League is 10 times better. It's not even the same.
Justice League has 90s CGI, and it looks like the crappiest. It's like Nickelodeon when they would CGI like the slime in. That's what it looks like. It's the worst, the literal worst.
Spider-Man 3 is not even the same
league
as
Sony,
Justice League.
Furthermore, because Justice League is like in
lower
than Scum.
No. Absolutely.
But furthermore, Sony does make bad. Like I get that they didn't get to make a third Andrew Garfield movie because of the deal with Disney, but I'm still bitter about it, and it's still stupid.
Well, look, if the thing comes back and they don't make a deal, it is very possible, and I could see Sony doing it, like making a multiverse movie. And maybe bringing back Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield.
Tobey Maguire said he'd do it. He would love to play Spider-Man. Man, if you guys could see Glitch's face right now.
Awesome.
He said it. He has said.
He's like 50 now.
He said he'd like to come back. Look at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That was a great movie. That's, again,
that was a cranky, burnt-out Spider-Man.
But, well, that would be Tobey Maguire now. Look at him. Look at Tobey Maguire now.
He probably doesn't look that bad.
He's a pretty cranky-looking little dude.
Alright.
I mean... Yeah, some of the movies that he made after that, he acted like he had some angst. He was kind of,
He doesn't look that bad.
Well, he doesn't look bad, but I'm just saying, like, he definitely would be the older, like, eating pizza 5 nights a week Spider-Man.
Pizza time.
Basically. Hey,
every day of the week.
Hey, let's just bring in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into this, too. Shell shock. I don't know, like, so would you guys prefer for Sony to just be like, for Sony to basically just roll over and say, you know what, Disney, we'll just make the deal? Or would you rather Sony just stand their ground and not have Spider-Man in the MCU?
Hey.
The middle ground between those two options?
Well, because that's if Disney is not willing to budge, those are the two options.
Yes. Then I would rather them stand their ground.
I mean, same.
Because a lot of cool stuff could come out of Sony.
There could be
being alone.
Yes.
Now, will they make as much money? Probably not, because they don't have the backing of Marvel, but they could. But still, probably not as much.
Because it's still, look, let's not kid ourselves. Spider-Man has helped the Marvel Universe too. It has not just been one-sided help. Like Marvel has helped Sony, and Sony's just Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more? I mean, it's not that. It's Marvel has greatly benefited by Spider-Man being in their universe
because Spider-Man
and they
loves him.
He's the most popular Marvel character, hands down. Even in the MCU era, with Iron Man,
bunch of teeny boppers. Oh my gosh, Spider-Man!
With Iron Man and Captain America gaining as much popularity as they have not surpassed Spider-Man. They just and they won't. So there's that. Here's the other reason.
Wait, what was the question? I was looking up why Tobey Maguire won't be cast in Hollywood anymore.
Wow. The question is if the deal stands as is and they will not adjust it at all.
Disney.
Yeah.
Or on either side.
Either side.
Yeah. Yeah. If they just will not budge, would you rather Sony stand their ground and not have Spider-Man in the MCU, or would you rather Sony just go ahead and cave?
I don't want them to cave and Disney get 50-50. I want them to come to a compromise.
Well, that's not an option. If the deal won't... If they can't come to a compromise, that's what it would be. Either Sony would have to cave, or they just have to walk away, and we wouldn't have Spider-Man in the MCU.
Then I guess walk away. I guess walk away then, because I have never loved I've never loved the fact that they brought Spider-Man into the MCU anyway. So I know that's a wildly unpopular opinion, but I've never been crazy about it.
Here's the other thing.
The only reason I only finally warmed up to the idea at Endgame when you really see how much of an impact all of that had on Iron Man, on Tony Stark. But even then, I feel like we could have done without it.
Yeah,
I'd rather Sony just walk away.
I mean, I definitely rather would too. And a big reason why I would is because with Disney already giving their slate up until 2021 for movies that we're going to get. And then we've got Blade coming at some point. And, we know we're going to get a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We know we're going to get another Avengers
Thor better
movie.
be in that next Guardians of the Galaxy
We
movie.
know we're going to get another Black Panther 2. We know we're getting all those. And they haven't even gotten dates. Plus, we know now they've got the Fantastic Four and the X-Men to use. Look, if they do make that deal, we would get very, very few Spider-Man movies. We might see him crop up every once in a while, But actually getting a solo Spider-Man movie, I think we'd be good to get one every 4 years.
I don't know though. Tom Holland's been really popular.
But that doesn't matter. They've got all these other IPs, and Disney being money hungry. Which would you rather make a movie on? One that you gain 100% of the profits, or one that you have to split 50-50?
That's true.
So either way, look, if I think the only way that we as the fan win, this is kind of a Thanos situation. How many of these outcomes do we win? One. There's only one of these outcomes that we win, and that's if they finally come together and make a deal. Because either way, if they don't, we're kind of screwed a little bit. Either we don't get Spider-Man in the MCU, we don't get all that good fun, or we get him in the MCU, but we hardly ever see him. If Sony retains the rights and that deal doesn't go through, look, they'll probably pop out a Spider-Man related movie every year. I can almost guarantee that, because that's your most popular IP. Spider-Man Far From Home has made the most money out of all of the Sony movies ever.
Wow.
Why would you not? So maybe we wouldn't get a Spider-Man standalone movie every year, but maybe, next year we get Venom 2. The year after that we get Spider-Man 3. The year after that we get Morbius, Craven, and they kind of alternate. And then eventually we get a Sinister Six.
See, that's what I was really missing.
And then we get a multiverse movie.
With the Andrew Garfield movies. I really wanted to see that.
Multiverse, anti-Venom. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff, so Sony builds up their own universe. But that kind of stuff's not going to happen if this 50-50 deal goes through. Which I think Sony is smart enough not to do that. I don't see how you don't do that, because...
The only way I think they might, though, is because they're probably going to feel some pressure with the boycott Disney or boycott Sony thing trending.
Yeah,
I think more and more people are seeing through that as the days pass.
As it is going, as more and more people like us are getting out there and giving the right information, I think people are starting to realize, oh, okay, so this is more Disney's fault than Sony. Because Sony wanted this deal to, they want it to work.
Yeah.
And they put out a response to it. And it was a good response. Basically saying that, we've loved having Spider-Man in the MCU, and we're sorry that this deal didn't go through. We understand that Kevin Feige is really busy, and so not being able to use him as a consultant, as a producer, we get that. We know he's got a lot on his plate with Fox and everything. And, with even more stuff coming on now. So we understand that, and we appreciate everything that they've done for us.
Stan Lee's own daughter has sided with Sony on this.
That's a whole nother thing, because she was even basically...
She's got some deep-rooted, which, I mean, rightfully so. She said Disney and Marvel didn't even reach out after Stan Lee died. Personally.
And there was some hints towards them not... maybe treating him as well as they should have.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, without Stan Lee, and
you have nothing.
Stan Lee has flat said that Tom Holland was his favorite. Her whole point in this is Stan Lee has said that Tom Holland was his favorite Spider-Man. Disney needs to work with Sony just out of respect for Stan Lee at this point. Because without Stan Lee...
you don't have any of it. And that's the other big thing. Remember, when this deal was first done, the first deal that we got, Sony... was in a bad spot. They needed help. Now, with them having made as much money as they have and everything, I mean, Sony is in a much better position right now. They're in a much better position of power. Spider-Man's IP has gotten extremely popular. People are going to go watch a Spider-Man movie. And they've made a lot of money. They're not hurting like they were before. It's more of like, look, we'd like to work with you, Disney, but we don't need you. Sony
might be able to have their head above water enough that they don't need them.
Yeah, Sony needed Disney before when the first deal was made. They do not need Disney now. They can do just fine without it. And I've also seen some idiots saying, well, why doesn't Disney just buy Sony?
Gosh.
Because Sony is one of the two...
Do you realize? I mean, it's more than
two companies that Disney doesn't own.
Disney does not need to have control over everything.
No, they're about to have a monopoly.
No, they definitely don't. They definitely don't.
That would be the worst.
And people don't realize, it's more than Sony does more than just make movies. Their bigger thing is their electronics and stuff that they make. I don't even think Disney could buy Sony if they wanted to. I don't think they have. Not after purchasing Fox. But I don't know. So I guess final thoughts. Who would you guys blame? Marvel, blame Disney, blame Sony, blame neither, or blame both a little?
100% blame Disney, because Sony obviously is trying to make a deal with them. They're willing to work with them because Sony's probably smart and sees how Disney has helped them. But at the same time, they're smart not to just let Disney try to overtake everything. So yeah, it's 100% Disney. Like I say, anybody who's been to Disney World will know that Disney is all about making the money. Literally $12 for a Coke. I mean, come on.
I'd rather go to Sony World. Build that, please. I will go to Sony World.
And I just feel like they're going to run into some of the same issues. Like, if you go to Universal Studios, they do have, the Marvel, or not the Marvel. Yeah.
Well, because they have Hulk and...
Yeah, they have Hulk and they have... It's just going to be this weird, thing that just doesn't need to be. It's just going to... Too many hands in the pot, and it's just going to cause problems.
Well, and look, all the Marvel...
Because, that doesn't even make sense. How did Disney make a movie that has, Hulk in it, but then Universal... has Hulk. I mean, it's just weird. They just need to let Sony have it.
It's rights and productions and everything like that. They can use the Hulk in movies. They just can't make a solo movie with him. That has to be. They have to share that.
Universal definitely doesn't need to make another Hulk movie.
I put this up. I put this up on our fan page. I said, with all of this that happened with Fox. And then now this with Sony, it's just abundantly clear that Disney does not play well with others.
Well, they'd rather just throw money at people.
They're very much of the mentality.
They'd rather just throw some money at it, and then they can just have control, and that's that.
Yes, they're very much of...
They're an abusive husband.
Yes. It's either it's their way or not at all.
Or a pimp or something, I don't know. Throw money at it, fix the problem.
Mickey Mouse pimping out Iron Man. We'll let you have Iron Man for a day. For $50 million.
Okay. But yeah, 100% Disney's fault, I think. What about you?
Yeah, it's mostly Disney's fault. Pretty much. I mean,
mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, he said mostly.
No, I mean, it is Disney's fault because they're being super greedy. But if Sony, I don't want them to bend to their wishes, but
just bend over and take it.
Sure. But I
just
really
excused
hope
himself from that narrative.
I really hope that they can come to a deal because,
well, yeah.
To quote Happy, I don't think Tony would have done what he did if he didn't know you were going to be there after he was gone. So
Happy,
if Spidey's
I'm moving over to Sony. I'll try to write. Aunt May says hi.
I mean, that's very true, though. They're not even thinking about
Happy's
the
just
content.
going to have a nameless pen pal that he writes with.
They're not even going to
see the emails.
They're not even thinking
Initialed
about
AM.
They're not even thinking about the content that they've created, and that's exactly true. I mean, how can they sit there? Iron Man would have done it for nothing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Spider-Man is not the sole reason that he did it, but he was a big reason why he did it, because he felt this extreme guilt.
Well,
and
he's going to witness protection. That's what he's doing.
Well, and who does Marvel get to replace Spider-Man?
I'm gonna read
that spot.
I'm gonna read this meme I found.
See, that's the other thing.
Is that still Sony since they?
It's Sony.
I'm gonna read this little.
Yes.
I'm gonna read this little meme I found, and maybe we can put it up on the video. So, this is if things go awry. When Marvel finally introduces Deadpool to the MCU, I want to see Tom Holland hanging out in sweatpants and in a bathrobe on Wade's couch. Not Spider-Man, Tom Holland. And when Nick Fury freaks out and goes, "What the heck, Parker? This is where you've been?" Deadpool just leans in and whispers, "Shh, you can't call him that anymore. He's in the Sony Witness Protection Program." And then Tobey Maguire walks past in the background eating a bowl of cereal. And then you hear Andrew Garfield shouting from the kitchen, "Does anyone want toast?" And Blind Al says yes. That's the kind of movie that we need, but that's the kind of joke that would happen.
But even that you can't have because now Deadpool is in with Disney.
He is for sure in with...
Yes. He was Fox. He was Fox.
But he is able to still reference...
Disney basically just stands back and chants, one of us, one of us, one of us. That's basically what they're doing. And yes, even with Deadpool, like Deadpool is now, because with the Fox purchase and everything, Disney is now... they lost $178 million this past quarter because the Fox properties underperformed so much. So
surprise.
You love Sony, apparently.
Yes. So now...
You got a dusty Xbox controller.
I have another one over there on the other table, which is not quite as dusty.
Xbox sucks, man.
Xbox is great. We're not getting onto that. We'll have a gaming one at some point. We can.
I have a lot of thoughts about We Happy Few. I need to vent out.
Oh, no.
When I first texted you about doing this, I was in the camp of boycott Sony. Yeah, I was gonna say, since you had my Xbox before, I was like, I need to get that back. I don't want the PlayStation anymore.
I need to buy back that Xbox.
Yeah,
I can't play PlayStation anymore. But no, I mean, with all that happening, now Disney has been talking about we're basically gonna take the IPs from Fox that we like and we think we can do with, and we'll use those, and the rest are basically gonna go into the Disney vault.
Oh, jeez. Don't even get me started on that.
And, who knows what'll happen to them.
They'll release them in 5 years. The gold edition.
So maybe we might get another Alien movie. Maybe we might get another Predator movie. We might not ever see Men in Black again.
They made a new Men in Black.
I know, but it underperformed. That was one of the ones. No, wait.
Well.
No. Sorry, guys. My problem. Men in Black is a Sony property. My bad.
Yeah, well, it still probably underperformed because it's stupid. You don't need to mess with something that's original and that's good.
It did underperform.
Like the new Jumanji movies.
It did underperform. Also a Sony property.
I find those hilarious.
They don't top the old ones.
I have not seen
They don't top the original.
I have not seen the first one. I still have not. I've seen many bits and pieces.
And that's my point. Don't remake a good thing. Just come up with something new. Thank you, Disney, with all of your stupid live action movies. Can we talk about Mulan for a second?
No. We can't. Lion King was good, by the way, and so was Dumbo.
Mulan is not even gonna be Mulan. No Shang, no Mushu, no songs. Period. Not Mulan. Boycott Disney.
Wow.
Mic drop. I'm out.
Please do. But and Fox is going to have Fantastic Four.
No Mushu.
No Mushu, no Shang, none of the original songs.
No cricket, none of that.
Okay. Disney,
it's not Mulan.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Dishonor on your family.
Your whole family. No Mushu.
I know, exactly. No Mushu made at least 50% of the movie and the story arc.
They're going more for an authentic.
I don't care.
Story.
It's Disney. It's Disney. It's supposed to be magic and everything. They're supposed to have it. They're supposed to have it. You don't have to Mulan without
Can I finish my Fox rant? Please.
Okay.
Fox, Deadpool, X-Men, all of that. And they had originally talked about leaving Deadpool rated R. Now they've kind of come back to that, and they've said more.
It's because Disney owns it. God forbid you see a drop of blood.
No. They said because of that whole losses and everything that they're going to put all of that stuff under the leadership and under the helm of Kevin Feige and the MCU. If it's in the MCU, Deadpool is not rated R, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with that because you can make.
It can still be hilarious.
I don't need.
Not on the same level.
I don't because look, I don't like all of the gratuitous language. I don't like all of the sex scenes and stuff like that.
There wasn't really a lot. It wasn't graphic.
Woman's Day.
That was hilarious. And you're just bitter about it because you're a man.
No, I don't need that. that served no purpose in the movie.
It was funny.
It served no purpose in the movie. It served no purpose in the movie or the narrative. Or
the look like on his face when she goes,
care.
"Chunk, happy National Women's Day."
I don't care. I don't want to see that.
That was hilarious.
I skipped that whole thing. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see that. You don't need to have
I like how that's the one sex scene that you mentioned and not the others.
Well, there are others too, yeah. Look, that is my least favorite of the Stan Lee cameos. Stan Lee is not a DJ in a strip club.
Hey!
Funny.
He might be.
No!
Bro's gotta make some side money.
Oh my
No.
God.
I'd go see Stan Lee as a DJ.
His line was funny.
Hilarious.
You can't buy love, but you can rent it for such and such. I was like, naughty, naughty Stan Lee.
That's one of the best cameos. That was so funny.
No.
Yes.
His best cameo was in Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, where he's in the library listening to his music.
That was pretty
And that
funny.
whole stuff is going on behind him. That's his best cameo. Which we could actually do a podcast about that.
Rank all the Stan Lee cameos. Oh yes.
We could all
put your thoughts in the comments below.
We could all make our own list of our top 10 Stan Lee cameos, and then we can each give our list on a podcast if y'all want to do that.
Anyway,
and if y'all want to see that.
Yes.
But I mean, a PG-13 Deadpool can be really funny because you can make fun of the fact that he's PG-13. He can come on and be like, "Hello, kiddies. Y'all didn't see my other 2 movies, but this isn't your daddy's Deadpool. We don't celebrate Women's Day here at Disney."
You're just bitter.
And then he can put on like a Disney mouse here. Let's go.
You're just bitter about the fact.
And then he can come back and he can say, "Now it's PG-13, so I only get to use one F-bomb. I'm gonna save it for the finale." And like killing people and stuff, and like, why don't these people bleed? I mean, you can make so much fun of it. And he can be like, "Well, maybe I'll finally get to meet Wolverine," or say stuff like, I know you guys are bummed out by the fact that it's not rated R and I'm not being as filthy as usual, but at least I get to hang out with Iron Man. Oh, too soon.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I just gave you like so many funny things that you could do. Like Deadpool could be doing it. It would be hilarious. It would be so much fun. And bleeping, you can bleep stuff out. Like he starts to say something, you bleep it out. Because they did that for the Once Upon a Time in Deadpool. When they re-released Deadpool 2 as a PG-13 version.
And I wasn't a fan.
I thought it was better. I liked it better. Again, I don't need all of that stuff. I don't want all of that
The funniest part was him like strapping the kid from Princess Bride to the bed for 3 hours and making him listen to his story.
Well, yeah, that's funny. So you don't have to be crude to be funny.
Anyway.
But, it can
bottom
still be really
line,
good.
Disney's fault. Disney's fault. This whole thing is Disney's fault.
And you could do Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. You could finally
Bad
do that.
kitty.
You could finally do that, and it would be hilarious. It'd be awesome. But
we hope it all comes.
Yeah, back to
together.
Sony.
We
Hopefully.
hope they can make a deal that works for everyone. Properly and fairly.
And look, I don't think Disney is wrong for wanting more than 5%.
Right, but
50%.
Well,
a big jump.
it's the 5%. It's the
huge
5%.
jump,
It's the 5% off the top.
10% more.
I was about to say it's the 5% off the top plus the 10% that they get, the 90-10 split plus the merchandising. Disney is not hurting.
Plus, they get to use Spider-Man for free.
For free. Disney is not hurting. They didn't have to spend any money to get to use Spider-Man, and instead they're just making money from the merchandise and the everything else. So thusly, Disney's fine. They don't need 50-50.
Now, to me, what I think would be a perfect deal is like 80-20.
That won't happen.
80-20 right there. And the same thing, Marvel keeps the merchandising. Marvel does not have to pay to use Spider-Man. And Sony also gets the rights to use Spider-Man in any of their Sony movies that they want to do, like Venom 2, like Morbius. Because I want to see that be a part of the deal too. People can understand, it's okay, it can be a part of it without being 100%. Because look, like the Netflix series, Daredevil, Iron Fist, those were technically a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They technically were, but they didn't really reference it, and it didn't really have any effect. People get that. They understand it. It's fine. You can do that. So to me, that would be a perfect deal. Disney getting a little bit more kickback on the first dollar, and then Sony also getting the right to use Spider-Man in their solo stuff. I think that's a perfect, and then everything else just stay the same. Yeah. I think those are the only two adjustments that need to be made, and I think that benefits both parties. Disney gets a little bit more money, and Sony gets a little bit more use of their character. You don't think that's a good deal?
No, I mean, yeah,
even bump it up to 70-30. I'm fine with that. I think that's the highest you should go. I think go 60-40.
I don't think Disney would take 80-20. That's the problem.
Okay, 70-30. Disney, if you want to make a deal with that, then I'll speak.
Did y'all see that?
On Sony's.
To end on a positive note, did y'all see that video where Tom Holland, he was like at Disney World or someplace, and he was dressed up as Spider-Man, and these people thought they were just getting a photo op with obviously a Spider-Man character, and then he takes his mask off, and they were tripping because it was Tom Holland.
I didn't see that.
And he was tripping too because he's like, oh yeah. Every time I see him, it's still kind of like, oh, I'm famous now. I forgot about that, and I just can't deal with it. Well, oh man, if he's out, if this deal falls through, we don't get any more Benedict and Tom Holland.
No.
Videos, and Benedict needs to be there. He is the babysitter.
Yeah, he basically got charged with babysitting Tom Holland. Like
he said that he was filming a scene for Sherlock or something, and this car drives by, and he hears somebody going, Benedict, oh Benedict, and he's just like, oh whatever, it's a fan, and he goes, I look over, and Tom Holland is sitting there screaming my name out of a window while he's on his way to a movie premiere, interrupting my filming of Sherlock. They have such a good bond. I'm not ready to lose that.
You don't get any more of that. No more stuff with the Avengers. No more stuff with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Spider-Man would be done. And again, I would rather see that than see Sony let Disney bully them around. And I like Disney. I like a lot of the stuff they do. I like the MCU. I've liked a lot of the Disney movies that have been made. I enjoyed Lion King. I enjoyed Dumbo.
Dumbo was sad.
Dumbo was good.
Sad.
Was good. It's okay. Sad can still be good. Not everything has to be like, sunshine and rainbows, which is why I like the DC universe, because I think they took a good approach on that. Because these are different characters. I don't need to rant about this, but I'm going to.
I couldn't rant about Mulan. No ranting.
You did rant about Mulan.
No, I blurbed about Mulan. I blurbed.
Those are completely different characters. And I don't like the mentality that the consumers have gotten of we're living in a MCU coma. Where that, if it's basically not like that, people seem to not really care for it. And some people will argue with me on that, but that really does seem to be how it is. Because it's always compared to that. If I hear somebody say, like, I think Man of Steel is the best superhero movie, that's my favorite. I love it. It is so good. And it's a little bit deeper. I mean, if I say that to somebody, they automatically, the first thing out of their mouth is comparing it to an MCU movie. Well, it's not like this. Okay, and I like having things that are a little bit unique. I don't want everything to feel the same. I can enjoy both. I enjoy the DC universe and I enjoy the Marvel universe. And one of the reasons why I enjoy them so much is because they're different. Because I can enjoy how unique they are. Because they're different characters. The DC universe characters are honestly a lot more mythical and fantastical. We've got Superman, for heaven's sakes. Dude is an alien that has pretty much every power imaginable. The Flash can literally travel through time. The fastest speedster in the Marvel universe is Quicksilver, and he can't do that. He's just fast. He's not like time travel fast. He's just fast. So you have to approach it a little bit differently, and it's going to be different. It's not going to be quite as relatable, I think, and I think that's where some of the Marvel characters have it a little bit easier because they are more relatable. even Spider-Man, with all of his abilities and everything, he's still relatable because he's a kid. And the way Stan Lee made him, which is why Stan Lee loved him so much, why he was his favorite character, was he gave him real-world problems. You never hear about Superman complaining about if he's going to make his rent or not, or Batman. Batman's a freaking billionaire. But Spider-Man is like, man, my uncle died. I have to take care of Aunt May, and I still have to take care of myself and make the rent. And I've got this overbearing idiot of a boss, and I want to have a girlfriend, but all this, and he's dealing with real world problems. And I'm trying to go to college and pass all my classes and still be a superhero and save the little guy. So it's a little bit more relatable, I think. Where the DC ones are a little bit different, but overall, I'm sad that this has happened. I don't know. It's
Disney's fault.
It is Disney's fault, and I hate them for it. But I still want them to work it out. I hate that they pulled that, and I almost, again, conspiracy theory. I almost feel like they did this on purpose.
Probably.
So that Sony would, one, look bad, and also so they could kind of get out of this deal. Because I almost feel like because they have the Fox characters and everything, and they have so many IPs that they don't really know what to do with, and they feel like they're juggling so much that maybe they're just like, well, we should just cut ties with this one character that we're having to share. And not worry about it. Maybe not, but it kind of feels that way. Because they presented a deal that really no one would take.
Yeah.
You're not going to share ownership of a character. You can't do that. That's why people never thought that deal would happen. Because they're like, there's no way that they're going to share a character. But they found a way to make the deal without doing that. That's why it worked in the first place. But, well, guys, let us know down in the comments section what you think about all this. Where do you side? And again, thank you to my guests for being here. Steel Glitch, Z the Pirate Girl. And also, let us know any other podcasts that you want us to do. You guys...
Follow Fan of Steel on Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook, Fan of Steel. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, with or without Spider-Man, keep geeking out.